Microdose, yeah. Microdose. Microdose. Microdose, dose. Microdose. Microdose, dose. Microdose. Microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, coming to you with the newest edition of the Microdose. Hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Hope you survived the Black Friday. Thanksgiving, I always say, is a time for two things. You either get a boxing movie or a war movie. And Creed 3 this year got postponed. So we saw the other Jonathan Majors film. That's a war film. It was called Devotion. It's pretty good. It's not going to be in theaters for long, kids. Maybe on Peacock or something in a couple weeks. Anyway, my guest tonight, old friend of the family here. Ain't seen him in a dog's age. But my man, Ike Macks. What's good, yo?
Doing great. Good to be here. This is awesome. I have to check out that war movie you just recommended. I haven't
Have you
heard
seen
of
the
it,
trailer
so.
for it?
No, I know nothing about it. So this is,
So
Devotion.
it's,
Is that what it's called?
Devotion. It stars Jonathan Majors and Glenn Powell from Top Gun Maverick, who played Hangman. So everybody who goes to see a movie is always like, "It's Top Gun 0, bro." Like, I'm guilty of it too. But it's supposed to be a true story based on not even necessarily the first black pilot in the Navy, but just like this dude had like a huge role in it. But the trailer is completely different from what the actual movie is. Is like, he was the first black pilot out there. They're like, "Get off the ship!" There is a scene where like it looks like five seamen just pushed the plane off the ship into the water. You're like, these motherfuckers are really ruining military cargo and like risking treason, like just because they don't like the color of this guy's skin. Guess what? That actually didn't happen. A plane went into the water, but another dude like just went too low and rammed into the back of the ship. And guess what? He didn't make it. But like the way they piece this together, like only two guys could combat prejudice and intolerance, and they were not. It's like no, like. The movie, once you get into the movie, they're like, there's a jerk or two in the USMC who's just, like he makes a funny slur. Like Jonathan Majors is the only one who uses the N-bomb ever, but like everyone else is like, "Oh, John, fucking fly with that guy all the time, dude. I fucking love that guy. When are we flying again, dude? Can we go up now?" Like, someone talking shit to you, buddy? I'm gonna no, we're getting fisticuffs here, mister. You talk about my sailor. Like, and then all of a sudden they're just in Cannes one night hanging out with Liz Taylor. Just like,
oh geez.
An amazing movie.
I like these types of movies where they at least from the presentation where they take an entire like systemic system and like racism in America in the 50s, and in the military specifically, and reduce it to like there was these two guys who were bigoted and yelling, and it's like I love it. Like that's supposed to be the stand-in for the entire systemic problem right there. And like, all right, if I could just win them over with some humor and like some daring piloting, then we're all good to go.
No, he's already an excellent pilot. In fact, he might be like the worst pilot in the fleet, but just still is like heroism is just off the charts. He's like they're supposed to be like flying air support for someone who's supposed to blow up the bridge, but they're not able to blow up the bridge. She was like, "I'm going back." He's like, "Don't do it, John. We're supposed to be going back to the ship." He's like, "I'm going back anyways. The mission ain't over." It's just like, go.
His skills. You say his skills aren't so great, but his heart is just like he's not going to stop. So it's like, I'll crash the plane, but I'm going to rescue everybody afterwards.
He's still a good pilot, but like of these 10 men, like he has trouble landing on the ship the most. Like at one point, like he does that shit that happens in the video games where he touched down on the thing, but not, so he just bounced and went back.
Bounces back up, yeah.
And so on his second round, they're like, "You want to go back home to San Diego, John?" He's like, "No, I can do it. Trust me." And they're like, "All right, get the crash crew out here." Like all the guys with the fire extinguishers are just standing by, like, "Oh, this is gonna be ugly." But he makes it. Like no spoilers, but he makes it.
So I gotta ask, is this just like the montage part of like every one of these working on a dream American movies is basically like he can't quite land the left hook, so he's got to practice it over and over until he gets to the final fight scene, and then he lands it. So it's like he can't land the plane, so they got to show the montage where he's like, he just can't get it quite. He's got to do it over and over and over again until like now he can land the plane.
Well, again, like, so if the trailer shows like all these exciting action scenes happening. Like one point, they're all running through the hallway, and you're like, oh, some serious shit's about to go down. Training scene. Like they're just running through this hallway over and over again to get to the ship as fast as they can from wherever they might be on the boat. Like, just it's still a great movie. It's probably going to be on like Peacock or something on New Year's Eve or something. But
so it's going to be streaming already. Okay, I'll have to look out for it.
Most movies are these days.
You said Creed 3 was bumped back, right? So it's not.
Creed 3 has been bumped back to like Easter, which is an unusual date for the Rocky series. Again, like we always get a boxing film or a war film, and for some reason we almost got two of them with Jonathan Majors in it this year.
Oh, there you go.
So speaking about war, I get a lot of weird stuff on my YouTube feed, and for whatever reason, I'm now getting full episodes of G.I. Joe, the cartoon that you and I grew up with. Now, there's been dozens of incarnations since, and who cares what legacy and canon and blah blah blah. Like, I remember watching this show quite a lot, but it never like occurred to me that like there's over like just 100 episodes of that series that we grew up with. In fact, so the other day a clip came up, and I had the figure. I had Destro with the gold helmet, but I never remember a cartoon with him in it. Sure enough, it's from the same series. It's the same animation style, like it's the same music. Cobra Commander, after he became a snake in the quote unquote movie, like they came out with just like a silver chrome like uniform for him, and there's a cartoon with that. And I'm like, so I'm looking for those, and all of a sudden, this one episode comes up. It's episode 40 of season 1, and they like had like 30 more after this, dude. It's I mean, it was after school syndication, I guess, but like fuck, you know, you think about like the way storytelling is done today, and I think it's even done with kids cartoons these days thanks to Netflix, where it's serialized. We're going to tell us one consistent story. It'll be like 8 to 10 episodes long. For some reason 3 of those will still be filler, but we're just gonna do this one story. So the fact that like they got 40 of them up to this point here.
It's
I sent you the clip for
episodic.
This.
Yeah, I checked it out, and it's like you're saying a lot. I think it's TV in general in the 80s and 90s. It's now it's switched now. Everything ever since like what HBO started doing with The Sopranos and The Wire and all those, like Oz maybe was the first one to do that, but like where before it was like everything was episodic. Imagine, so think about like Star Trek and like the Next Generation, or like the shows from like the 80s and the 90s. It was like everything wrapped up within an hour, right? And and cartoons no different. Like you can keep a kid's attention, like a 7-year-old's attention, 8-year-old's attention. Like the good guys got to win the day, and then tune in tomorrow for something else. And I'm sure all those cartoons, whether they be Darkwing Duck, like all the different, I can't remember all of them I used to watch back in 1985 or 86 or whenever they came out. But I remember the same thing. I remember watching tons of G.I. Joe. This was a trip back memory lane, because I just remembered my most recent. I think I mentioned this to you. My most recent watching of G.I. Joe was not G.I. Joe. Like before this was I just recently saw one of the episodes from Community in which Jeff Winger is having like a midlife crisis, and he overdoses, and so he kind of like goes into this like weird like G.I. Joe animation, like it's happening in his mind, like he's in sort of in a coma state, and all him and all people from the study group and Community all play different figures. And it's just spend all the time just kind of ripping apart like just how bad and how like not realistic the show is. I mean, obviously it's a cartoon for like 8-year-olds, right? 9-year-olds. And so it's like when I saw this, it took me back. I was like, you're right. There's all these little things going on in there. I'm like, why are they doing that? What is that? That my 8-year-old self was just been enthralled with the fact that there was lasers and there was explosions and like there's a parrot that's a snitch. It's like
that goddamn parrot too.
Yeah, he ruins it. Lady Jane almost got away with mutiny. Like it's like
treason, mutiny,
right?
Everything. So many crimes are committed in this thing. Like, so this episode is called An Eye for an Eye, and it starts off like any other episode I do remember. Like they're all kind of formulaic. So the Joes are doing something. Maybe they're at the base. In this case, I want to say they're in like the Colorado Rockies. Okay, but they're definitely in like just the high altitude area, snow everywhere, and there's 2 snow rangers. There's Alpine, he's the gentleman with the glasses, and then there's the guy who is dressed all in head to toe white. I gonna say his name is Snow Job just because that sounds cliche. All right.
It sounds like a G.I. Joe name. Yeah.
But then there are two other dudes there, and one of them might be dressed, but the other one, he's a jungle ranger. He's a jungle ranger dressed for jungle combat. And it's that was one thing that always kind of threw me off. But again, we're 8 when this is out, so just go with it. Whatever. Like
they never changed their uniforms, right? They were always like I'm looking, and Flint's always dressed like that, no matter if there's cold weather out. Like it's like
Well, sometimes they'll give Flint and Lady J a parka. All right,
that's right,
or a poncho or something.
Oh man, will you look at it? At what? All I see is snow. Oh, don't you have eyes? Look at those tall pines, those rugged peaks.
Makes me homesick.
Where you from, Bazooka?
South Florida. No, Alpine, Minnesota.
Well, I hate the cold. Give me a hot, steamy jungle anytime. Complain all you want. Nothing's gonna spoil my day now.
Wow, he might be wrong about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they have that, and then sure enough, like everything, Cobra invades. Sometimes it's on foot, sometimes they're tanks. In this case, it's an ambush. So one convoy has been exploded. Remember, there's only 2 of them.
Yeah.
Ram it.
I'm gonna ram it.
That's right. We're going through it.
Yo, Ricardo, hot for you now, wise guys.
Bazooka, take out that roadblock.
You wait until you're in the right mood.
I'm in the mood.
Then nail those creeps.
Oh, okay.
I got a quick something here. Right as before this ambush begins, you see the Cobra folks preparing, and they're putting like clips in their weapons. And I always just thought the weapons were like lasers, but no, they're obviously just guns with clips in there. So they're like bullets, but they pew 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 like they're like Star Wars lasers, right? It's like they're like blasters from Star Wars. But they're obviously
blasters from Star Wars because you need to see the action happening.
Yeah, sorry. So you say it's like they're like tracers almost, right? So it's like,
yeah. Which may have existed at that time. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I think tracers have existed for a long time. Where it's like yeah.
The reason I played that clip is the guy with the bazooka, as he's being ambushed, has to be told like, "Hey, dude, you need to use that bazooka." And he went, "Oh, huh? I'm the bazooka guy." And then he fires upon him. And he does it so just like he's like a punch drunk boxer. He's like, okay.
Yeah, you want me to do something?
I'm in the mood. Explosions. And like this is where as kids we're like going, what? Oh my god. This shit is crazy.
Yeah, first of all, I love like you're right. Everybody's like dressed for their own mission, but it's like because they got to match the toys. And let's be real, as fun as this was, I think the idea of these things, this He-Man, everything was like, one big advertisement for the toys, right? So it's like, how can the kids tell them apart if you don't have them look like the toys? So when you go to the store, you're like, oh yeah, that's Jungle Ranger, that's Alpine, that's But I love how they work that in. How they're all griping, like, I don't want to be in the snow. This is.
Well, that's what real soldiers sound like, Isaac. All right,
sure they do.
This is that gritty reality we're bringing to your third grader. All right,
my dad's friends who were like drafted into Nam were like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to.
And it went the other way around too. Like Snow Job would be just on a weird desert mission, but like with his snow parka on, it's like, dude, it's 115 degrees in the shade right now. If you could find the shade.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, man, take a load off. Let's go on a secret mission here. You stand out, buddy.
You definitely stand out. Yeah. Could you blend? Would you mind blending?
It's almost like they know it's going to work out.
So bear in mind now, like all the foot soldiers, they get rid of them or they drive past them. Now they're out of the range. But Cobra Commander, and as much as he gets like called a coward or whatever, like he's always the first one in the battle, dude. Always the first one. The first one in that plane. And it's only because like he runs out of ammunition.
I did think about that. Like, it's one of those things where I didn't notice as a kid, but now it's like, this is the guy is the leader of Cobra, right? Up until that whole Serpentor thing. But we'll get into that, I'm sure. But like,
someday. I have thoughts about that shit. So dig this, man. So Cobra Commander leading the charge here. He's actually like giving like real life military strategies. Like the Joes only have 2 cannons, so he's like hit them from 3 sides.
Yes,
Now,
he's a triangle.
apparently the animators didn't get this note because those folks still just stay in a triangle formation. So like all 3 guys are still in front of the cannons, but those cannons just can't hit them here.
No one will destroy them! Cobra!
Don't fire till you see the whites of their fangs!
I think that's a racist term also.
What?
Oh, the family. It was we got so into the lore and the situation we're in, the family, the catalyst for this whole thing. So there's one A-frame cabin in this entire area.
Yeah.
And Mom is baking cookies, and little Sally and Jimmy are doing their homework, and they're like, "Yay, cookies!" And then all of a sudden, this battle happens out in the front yard. It seems to be happening just in a 2-dimensional direction. So little Jimmy's just like, "Yo, check this shit out!" And Mom,
gee, Mom, look at that! Neat, huh? Oh my!
Mom's in the frame, just like she's horrified. She doesn't know what to do. Like, now I came in with some bad idea. I was like, "Get into the basement, bitch!" But we're gonna see why that was a terrible idea.
Well, that's my whole thing is the fact that they just kind of stand there, just staring down, and like Jimmy's like, "This is so cool. There's a war right outside." I know, like,
so one plane crashes. Lady J is manning a cannon and decides to use a spear.
Yeah, and I guess this is kind of because I didn't see the episodes, and you've seen like a bunch of this. I'm just assuming based on the fact that she's got a whole quiver of them, like this is Lady J's thing, right? This is her thing is like, I got these exploding spears.
And explodes. The house is on fire here.
Okay, so I'm seeing Lady J, and it's like those. I'm sure there's animation nerds. I mean, this is sad, like I said, I just saw this episode, and now I'm peaked to go back and see a bunch of them just to kind of get a little bit more of an idea. But I mean, that's got to be her thing, right? She's got like a quiver of exploding spears, so it's just kind of, again, like this is the character. This is her weapon. She uses these spears, right? Because you're right. It's like, why would you stop using the cannon and just start, throwing these little exploding spears? And I love how she can throw a spear far enough to hit a plane, and it can explode and take out a plane.
She's having a little trouble aiming that cannon.
Exactly. Well, let me throw something at it. Oh, there you go.
So the plane explodes, and it's one of the few explosions in this episode where like nobody bails out. There's no parachute. Like, I mean, we're talking about a 4:3 ratio screen here, so maybe it happened out of frame, but like
it's possible.
Like someone ate shit on this one here.
Can't work the plane.
Enjoy this small victory, G.I. Joe, because Cobra.
That animation was actually pretty cool. You see the shadow of the plane going over the convoy.
Where's Sally? Where's
Lady
my
J
sister?
goes in after the little girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Pulls her out to safety. House explodes.
Yeah, exactly. Cabin's been burning down. They saved everybody though. That's the key, right?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. About what, sweetheart? I was eating
So the little girl is bawling her eyes out because obviously her house just burnt down. But she doesn't understand the weight of what is just happening. She doesn't understand there was a war outside in her front yard. She thinks that because she ate too many cookies, she somehow exploded the house because she was being bad.
She misbehaved. And wait. If you go back to the end of that shows them like this is the other part, and I'm sure you'll narrate this, but there's like, turns out the cabin is owned by this guy who's like an insurance, like he's a VP at an insurance company, and
you're talking about Charles Fairmont, and we get very few details about him, but we're about to get introduced to him in just a second here. But we only get the 2 details we get is he might have had basic training because him and Lady J climb up a mountain, and he's like, that was harder than basic training. I'm like, okay. And then he reveals that like, I work with computers, and that is how I got past your security defenses, G.I. Joe. And I was like, what? But yeah, like you look at him, he's an insurance salesman, he's a lawyer, he's a doctor, possibly, like he's anything but like a spy. He's a normal dude, but he's not he's not even like today's normal cinematic television dude. Like he's got a certain set of skills. No, he's just a dude. All right.
Yeah, works in an office. And I love how G.I. Joe shows up to apologize for destroying his cabin. And they're still all like in uniform with their weapons, just kind of like, oh, we don't have to change the clothes. We just got to, everywhere we go, we got to, it's not like, put on a shirt and tie. You're going to go to the office. Kind of, no, it's like, hey, Lady J, bring those spears down to the office so we can like meet this guy and apologize for blowing up his house,
And it's super just Flint's being a dickhead the whole time. Like this guy is understandably upset, and he's like, "Who do I answer to?" Like this terrorist organization called Cobra. They started some shit while we were on just our convoy, and long story short, a plane flew into your house, destroying your house, burning it to the ground, and he's like, "Everything I worked for, like all you do is say sorry." Like he doesn't say it, but it was like, compensation. Like what?
Yeah, exactly.
How are we compensated? And he's just like, hey, we're G.I. Joe. We just fight Cobra, and that's all we do. All right.
Math is hard. I can shoot a gun, throw a spear.
Where's my family?
They're okay.
Are you a doctor, soldier boy?
No, but...
Then butt out. I want to see someone in charge. Mr. Fairmont, I'm the doctor in charge. Talk to me. How are they? Your wife sustained a mild concussion. Your son mostly scratches and bruises. Your daughter suffered some smoke inhalation, but she's doing well. If she hadn't been rescued so quickly... Hold it. What kind of accident was this?
Our convoy was attacked by a terrorist group called Cobra. One of their aircraft crashed near your house and set it on fire. We saved your family, but your home burned to the ground. We're very sorry.
You bring a war to my door, involve my family, cause the destruction of my home and everything I've worked for, and all you can say is you're sorry?
Cobra endangered your family. G.I. Joe exists to protect civilians.
Skip the lecture, soldier boy. Who do I see about evening things up?
That's our job. Let us handle Cobra.
You glory hounds, I wouldn't let you shine my shoes. Take good care of my family, Doc. I've got a score to settle.
Yeah. And he leaves the hospital. He leaves the hospital. He's been there for a whole minute and a half. He hasn't seen his family at all. Okay?
He just takes off like, I'm gonna go solve this. If you can't solve this, I'm gonna go solve this.
You special elite soldiers couldn't do the job that now I have to complete. All right.
I feel where he's at. He's like, wait a minute. How long have you been fighting this Cobra? Like forever, the entire life of the series. What do you win? Oh, we don't win. We shoot them, they parachute out, and then we just keep doing the same thing every week.
I love the character of Charles Fairmont here. Like, I love his voice. I love his cadence. Like, it's hard to peg, like, how old do you think he is? Is he 40? Is he 50? Like, he's definitely like 50, got that square haircut. Like, he's just all no nonsense and just meat and potatoes and get out of my way.
It's definitely
I would let you shine my shoes, soldier.
It's kind of weird because it's kind of a look, and I'm wondering how much of this is like, you see pictures of folks. I see have pictures of like old family members, and they have this kind of look where they look like that, and they look like they're 60 or 50 something, but they're like 35. That's just like people used to smoke and drink so much, and life was so stressful, and so it's like you just age. I've been working. I've been working in a factory since I was 16. I had to work my way up.
There was a whole generation that drank paint thinner to get high.
That's right. Yeah. So it's like, so you look at him, you're like, wow, that guy looks like, but he definitely has that, like, this is a real, like you said, this is a businessman from, this American businessman with anger issues and like, no nonsense. He shows up in a uniform, doesn't he?
They don't explain where he gets it from, but he's like in a captain's uniform, although his rank is never addressed. But like he infiltrates G.I. Joe by walking up to the front gate and then sucker punching the guard.
That's right. Yeah.
Sorry, soldier. Nothing personal.
Nothing personal, soldier.
You ever turn your back there, Rook?
Yeah. You knew better. You should have known. You should have saw that coming, dude. Come on. So, meanwhile, Lady J is kind of actually having like a philosophical debate here Well,
Yeah,
like,
we destroyed his house. Yeah, what's going? Like, come on, we're responsible. Flint's just sort of like whatever.
yeah, Flint's like, that's what we do, bitch. We go to war. All right,
We blow
sorry.
things up. As people get involved, they die. Their houses get set on
casualties.
fire.
However, she
I love
finds
that, like you said, that philosophical, like we're part of the, we're the yin to the yang of Cobra here. This is like, I don't know, I'm probably offended a
like,
million
this
people
wouldn't have
there
happened
with
if we
that,
weren't
but, like,
driving a fucking spaceship or whatever
Yeah.
it is, the plane, the engine, the
Yeah,
MacGuffin through Colorado.
the secret weapon that they're taking up to that secret base in the mountains. I love how they did no reconnaissance. Like, does anybody live up here? Is there one cabin out in the middle of nowhere owned by some rich insurance guy? It's like,
We should actually evacuate them the day before. We're going to put them up in a hotel, all expenses paid, and then once everything is safe, escort them back home.
see, here's what I don't understand. Like, did they just vacation there? Or was like, did he just tell, like, hey, wife, take the kids to the mountain, like, while I handle whatever I got to handle, dinner with clients or something? And it's like, because I don't know if they live there, or that's just sort of like their mountain vacation home. They never explain. There's a lot of Charles Fairmont's life is not very well explained here. He's just a regular guy who gets sucked in to whatever's going on, right?
I think that's you and I both maybe being too adult for this situation. Like, we're definitely like poking holes in this, but like, is that his vacation? I think we just have to assume this is his real home. And again, like he's a computer executive. He works with computers. So computers equals he makes mad money. He can afford the 2-3 children. He's got the A-frame house all the way up away from civilization, away from the rest of from the busybodies. Like, I have to assume this is his primary, if not his only home.
It could be. I noticed this though. Like, again, this is like total like 80s thing, right? Because this is like the computer, like personal computers are fairly new. Like, like it's not like how we are today, or everything. Phones are computers, but like the idea of a computer, whatever, an Apple IIc or whatever, the first generation Mac in like 1984. Is this idea that like somehow these computers are almost magical, like these are like, no, you know how to use computers, you can reprogram entire security defense systems,
you can control the weather.
The weather, exactly. So I love how they just use that as an excuse. Oh, I know computers, yeah, that's how I can get in here. It's like, what?
This stealth game though is definitely subpar, because Lady J catches him breaking into the records room, and
here's him wrestling around.
This is how she greets him. She kicks him in the back and pushes him into the
Tell
filing
me what
cabinet.
you're doing
Yeah,
here.
someone's got to
Looking for
reset those
information
files.
about
Like,
Cobra.
what's up with that?
What are you planning to do? Just waltz in
No
on
thought
them
to the actual custodians. You have to reset all that.
The
The secretary pool that has like, oh, I don't get all
Mr.
these files
Fairmont,
back where they were.
Share your pain. My javelin brought that plane down on your home.
You! It was you!
Nothing
I gotta kill you!
can do against Cobra alone.
More importantly, like, okay, he's just broken into a secret base, right? Instead of being like
already guilty of trespassing,
assault
stolen
of
valor,
assaulting
assaulting a guard.
and she catches him and punches him into the files, like just like like knocks him down. And instead of like being
those
like
filing cabinets are heavy and they just topple over. So like his shoulders have to like be separated. Even
cartoon
empty.
logic, there's explosions and you get it up right after. But I just love her change of heart right here, where she's like, yeah, you're right, we screwed up, so I'm gonna help you up. I'm not gonna like do the thing I should do, is arrest you and have you sent to a court martial. It's like,
he's like, you owe me. And she's like, yeah, okay, I do.
Let's break every military rule there is and like go get you what we owe you.
So she takes him to the secret computer room, and she's got him like not looking at the computer, but he's close to the computer. Like, he can't see her type in the password to the AOL account. But and she like gives him, she gives him a fair warning. She's like, I'm about to like reveal some classified shit. So you just sitting there, all right, and don't look at the screen here. And her idea is to find a vacated Cobra military base. Which, all right, I guess, but
Top secret data, so stay put. Okay, here's something. A Cobra munitions depot on an island northwest of San Francisco. It's not much.
It'll do, as long as we inflict some damage on those creeps.
If I'm lucky, I'll only get court-martialed for this.
Yeah, I love it.
This is just some crud shit.
Yeah.
And as they talk,
the parrot. This is great.
Shipwreck's parrot catches them and does nothing. He just wants to fuck shit up. Like his logic doesn't even make sound for his vengeance. Like he should be like, I need to get back at Cobra Commander, but I guess he doesn't even know who Cobra Commander is yet at this point. But he's just like, no, we need to just blow shit up. Yeah,
let's do this. And you get the parrot who's just like stirring the pot here. I do love how what island is this? Angel Island? Is this the Farallons? It's just some island north of San Francisco. This is decommissioned
northwest of San Francisco.
We're just like, and again, this is the hilarious part about this. It's first of all, how many floppy disks do you think it took to run those computers that they were looking at? It's like, hold on.
Right. I think this was a reel-to-reel era.
Yeah. But then the screen is like, it's Google Maps today. It's all of a sudden she's just typing stuff up and a bunch of images pop up showing like the secret location of the base, which is like on this island just north of San Francisco. It's not very clear. They just kind of show like a group of islands that probably don't exist, but I just took it to be like, the Farallons or something.
I mean, that's really the only island out here, dude. I'm looking at the map, and that's the only thing that popped. Gulf of the Farallons, and then just west of that is Farallon Island. So, what I'm not clear about is if they even made it that far. So there's a secret Cobra base that they weren't even aware of, and it just happens to have a new weapon they're testing that's working. It's an EMP, but they don't call it that. They give it something stupid like our ebony laser will take out everything.
Now, like you said, all the animation nerds would know this. Like, again, I have to go back and watch the series. And what you've seen, do they ever explain how Cobra came to be? Because it's like, I love it. It's just like, it's a secret terrorist organization bent on world domination. It's like, that's a fully formed army that's international. It's like jets with logos and like secret bases all over the world. So,
So that first 5 episodes, that's the first miniseries movie.
Yeah.
Like it's probably as real as they could have gotten a cartoon about the military to be. Like they're just terrorists. It's in the theme song. They just want to rule the world.
Take over world domination. Yeah.
That's it. But then, they've had so many failed missions, and I want to say it's the Weather Dominator episode that like just bankrupted them. Like there's no more money. Like they have to like start robbing banks so they can get to the next ploy that actually get them some real money, so that they get onto the real ploy. And by that point, then they just take it completely science fiction, where they create Serpentor, and then we get the movie with Cobra Law, and everyone, there's this entire civilization of reptile people under the earth. Like it's
it went off the. I mean, I think they just needed to like get creative with it, because I think even the kids might have been like, okay, so what is Cobra doing? Where'd they come from? It's like, okay, we need like an actual backstory. Like,
And again, this is that early time in the 80s where this was absolutely an advertisement to sell us toys. So the toys had no backstory to them, so they're just making everything up as they go along. There's not too much continuity. Again, Cobra Commander is just some terrorist in the hood. Like he's just a scary dude. But then he's like, oh, he's some scientist from that reptilian civilization from 500 years ago, and something happened, and yet that's why he wears the crimson mask now. Like just
it's like part snake, right? He's just the reptilian. Anthropomorphic, like the reptiles.
Why he's like, yes,
that's right. See his hissing.
Anything he says with have a lift.
That's a reptile hissing. Yeah.
Lady J steals a plane, which again, it's theft of a plane, theft of federal equipment. It's treason right there. And they get shot down. They do a very fast
to a secret base.
Yeah. They survive the water landing. They get on the beach, and then they end up like crawling up a mountain. And this is where our guy drops the voice bite. Like, that was harder than basic training. So like, it would have been nice to be like, hey, I fought in Korea, or I was a part of Vietnam. Like I did my time. I didn't know G.I. Joe was a real thing, but we always heard rumors about you guys. You
I mean, plot twist. G.I. Joe. I helped found G.I. Joe 30 years ago. You're like, oh.
I like that, but it doesn't fit the character.
It doesn't. You're right.
Not this guy,
nothing
but like,
fits this character other than he's bent on revenge, and
that
there's
is
no
true.
real.
Yeah. They before they get shot down, they're going over some details, and Lady J is like, "Hey, no matter what happens, what did I tell you?" And he's like, "I will do whatever you tell me to, as long as I get to pull the plunger." And the camera pans down. And they gave this fool a gun. They let this guy keep his sidearm. I don't know if he brought it with him or they just like, here, you're gonna need this. We're going into battle.
Yeah, it's probably that. You're gonna need this. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, Lady Jane's breaking all kinds of law here. The fact that they let her lead a mission after this is.
At one point, they're like, "Yo, I was planning to take you to an undisclosed island that has been abandoned, and we got shot down on some other unrelated Cobra bullshit. So now shit is real serious. All right, I want you to hide in this cave until I can find communication and get us rescued. Okay?" And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna hide in this cave." And of course, Major Blood is a sinister motherfucker. Like, I want to know more about this character. He's always just kind of like there and then not there. Like, he never has any development. There's no like Major Blood's day off. Like, we never get to see the inside of his quarters. You know, like what's he all about? Like, how many eye patches does he have?
Exactly.
Like he seems to be the only one in Cobra that like just gets by doing his job, you know.
Yeah.
Like, he can actually kidnap a guy, he can shoot some people, he's good about kidnapping and reconnaissance, but like, yeah, that's he stays in his bubble. He never gets too lofty with his goals. But Lady J gets kidnapped, and they're all talking about like, take her to the torture chamber, and they got the whole little truth device or whatever, and they're only asking like specific G.I. Joe questions. They don't ask her like, are you alone? She's like, how many Joes are with you? She's like, there are no Joes with me. And so like through clever writing and just bad interrogation, she survives the whole process. But our man Charles has been hiding in the bush here the whole time. Cobra on duty. Some rustling in the bush. Sucker punch. And he's like, ow. Violence hurts.
Exactly. My hand. They punch a guy in the face with a helmet.
At some point, it is discovered that Lady J has in fact stolen the plane. What G.I. Joe's more surprised about is that she's not all over like government radio signals going like, stole that plane, motherfucker. Like, you can't stop me. You can't stop me. She's like, if she's out there, if she stole that plane, she ain't talking about it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I would be there.
You trained her not to do that. Good job, G.I. Joe. Like they don't even know who Charles is, or like they're not even thinking about Charles being in the picture here, but the parrot lets off that he knows something, but then he's like, it's a secret. I can't tell you guys. And it's like, you've not been bound to anything, parrot. Like,
yeah, threatened to cook the parrot before he spills the beans, right?
Yes. I will give it credit. Roadblock is in this, and Roadblock was the black character who only spoke in rhyme for like. Oh, I remember being the entire series, but this goes like, yeah, we can cook that bird. I got no problem with that. Like, just, matter of fact, like, yeah, I got that recipe. That's gonna be good. But like those first 10 or 15 episodes, like he would have had some clever quip in rhyme form. And that's just the way it was back then, kids. That's just the way it was.
Everybody's got their shtick, right? Everyone's got their shtick. Got their little thing. Oh yeah.
Lots of people like to make fun of Shipwreck and saying like he's the gay one, but like the few episodes I've seen, like this dude actually has like an entire like Yellow Pages thick worth file of just sexual harassment claims between Scarlet and Lady J. Because every time they get paired up with him, we're like, oh no, not Shipwreck. And sure enough, it's like, all right, pretty lady, what are we gonna do on this one? You're gonna watch those cheeks. Like, that was a close one. All right. At one point, get Scarlet to agree to go on a date with him. this not even in this episode. I don't remember what episode it is, but the tank has been exploded. He's standing on top of it. He's just picking off cobras, like pow, 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 pow. He's like, you shipwreck, you're gonna get shot if you don't get off there. And he's like, I'm only leaving if you're going on a date with me. And he's like, I'll go on a date with you. He's like, I'm out of here, bitch. Woo! And the tank blows up. He's like, where are we going?
Blackmails her into a date. Like, I'm not. My death will be on your hands unless you go out with me. All these messages they're sending kids in the 80s, right? It's like, if she says no, just keep harassing her until and blackmail her until she says yes. Oh, okay.
Charles, who was already hurt his hand punching that first Cobra soldier, punches out the next Cobra soldier, but like doesn't phase him whatsoever. Like maybe he was ready that time, maybe he clenched his hand, but like gets Lady J out of whatever interrogation. They call it the tiara. Actually, the little thing on her head.
Yeah.
Which I was
wow.
do they call that because she's a girl, or like why do they could have just been the mind, the skull
mind control
bracelet
thing? Yeah.
it is a mind control thing, but so they're like, let's go to the ammunition depot and get all the grenades we can get. All right, and he's like, word. Let's go. Like, by the way, Lady J still looks like Lady J. Like the one dude is in a Cobra uniform now, but she's dressed like G.I. Joe. Yet this entire hallway of Cobras, don't look at them go into the munitions depot.
That's right.
Cobra does eventually find him there, and another thing happens, and there's an explosion, and we see the EMP device, the ebony laser. And it's a cannon, and they're like, oh, it's a manual turret. All right, we can if we could disable that, we could save G.I. Joe's finally on their way to save us, because G.I. Joe's now planning a rescue mission.
It begins. Your weapon will rid me of G.I. Joe forever.
Blew it! It's going to fire! Throw the last grenade, quick!
Sorry, this one's reserved for Cobra Commander.
There you go.
So Charlie there had the last grenade, and Lady J's pleading with him like,
Charlie, the Joes are like family to me, and they're flying into a death trap.
You're right.
So, they could not stop the countdown. Ball! Yeah!
yo, family, you gotta fucking blow up the turret. Use the grenade. He's like, sorry, baby, this is only for Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander's name is only on this pineapple. And then she's like, but for family. He's like, all right. The Golden State Warriors and or the San Francisco 49ers need to hire this guy because he can throw for 500 yards into a tiny hole that's not even visible in the animation. Lady J's taking pot shots at it, and just the lasers are just ricocheting left and
just
right.
Bouncing off. Yeah, just bouncing off. And I love how he's like, I got this. Yeah.
Once the grenade goes off, Cobra Commander flips out on the scientist. He's like, so they couldn't survive the countdown. I was like, the countdown don't work if the cannon is exploded. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
The shit exploded. I got no control over that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the scientist. I mean, he's just venting. This is him. He's just, he's projecting. He's got his rage. He's getting his rage out there. But I mean, for the purpose of the show, G.I. Joe needs to hire Charles Fairmont. Be like, you're a Joe now. All them skills you have just randomly from basic training.
It is amazing that he's not in actually more episodes after this, because he actually achieves a level that like only 4 G.I. Joes, including Lady J in this episode, achieve. And that's going hand-to-hand combat with Cobra Commander. Like Duke, maybe Flint, possibly Sergeant Slaughter, Lady J for sure in this episode, and then civilian computer guy Charles Fairmont. Those are the only people who have gone toe-to-toe with Cobra at this point.
I gotta say, G.I. Joe's recruiting methods are like horrible. This is like, if most of the soldiers can't do this, it's like, it's like this one rando that they got off the street, like just walks in off the street in a pure, like, you owe me like, $100,000 or however much that cabin cost in 1984. You owe me $300,000 for my cabin, like,
and my kids' medical bills.
Oh, that's right. It's getting, yeah. Was that the jet, or was that all the cookies she ate? Is that
There was smoke inhalation for the little girl, but I'm sure
That's
she had
right. That's right. Yeah.
Because
That's
bad
right.
girls who eat all the cookies.
That's right.
Exploded, and their
That's
stomachs.
what happens, you know.
So, them blowing up the cannon was able to have G.I. Joe bring out the full assault. The planes are flying over, dudes are parachuting in. Cobra's got other cannons, missing everybody, but G.I. Joe is finally on land in the Farallon Islands and beating the shit out of everybody. But meanwhile, inside, Cobra is still firing upon Charles and Lady J.
You've got some nice moves, lady. My creation! You have destroyed it! I'll make you!
Yeah. Yeah. Hand in ice there, buddy. I know to throw a punch.
Not till I even the score with
So,
Cobra
Lady
and
J,
Bear.
the super elite soldier, shoots down some debris. Cobra retreats, and he's like, "Oh man, you really are like a super elite soldier. Holy shit! Like, I don't know what I was thinking." Also, Charles Fairmont is punching fools out like he's Run DMC and Beat Street. Okay, every hit is a one punch knockout. He hurts his hand again for some reason. This time, I guess the scientist just has a stronger job. He's like, my hand. So he punches out the doctor, and as his hand is still broken, Lady J is like, dude, I need to get you out of here. You are still a civilian. He's like, fuck that. I gotta punch Osama bin Laden in the face. Imagine that. Just like
I gotta break my other hand.
Imagine Jay Link's dad. Just decided to go into war one day. He's like, I'm gonna punch the Ayatollah Khomeini right in his stupid fucking face. But he does it.
It's all good. I work at Apple. I use computers. I can get in there. No problem.
I did
it. Punched him in the face. It completely changed the outcome of the revolution.
Old Charlie Fairmont, he follows Cobra Commander down the hall, and someone, I think it's Major Blood, is waiting for Cobra Commander. They're in that one of those jets that takes off vertically. We now know as a Harrier, but it wasn't that back then.
That was the coolest thing ever. Yeah.
Old Charlie Fairmont is firing pot shots at him, and he's like, "Stop right there, Cobra Commander. See, I got you. See, and you ain't gonna move. I'm gonna kill you right here. See." And Cobra Commander plays to his naivety.
What is the meaning of this? Who are you?
Just an ordinary guy whose wife and kids nearly bit the bullet because of you.
Yes, you are ordinary. An ordinary coward, so bold and righteous against an unarmed man.
Okay.
He's just like, you wouldn't shoot an unarmed man, would you? I'm surprised you didn't you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? And Charlie's all like, yeah, all right, we can do this hand to hand. I've knocked everybody out so far. This military leader with mad MMA skills is gonna be an easy thing for me. And old Charlie gets sucker ducked.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe shows up, and they got all guns on him, and Charlie is such a fucking dude, such a fucking man. He's like, don't worry about me, take the shot. Don't worry about what happens to me. Kill this motherfucker. And G.I. Joe, because it's an 8-year-old cartoon, they all drop their weapons. Cobra Commander gets away. Charlie's like, what the hell, guys, you had him.
Remember this guy's motivation. Remember his motivation. His ski lodge, his winter house got blown up and his motivation to sacrifice.
So his family had been slightly inconvenienced.
He had to show up to the hospital. Didn't care enough to stick around and see how his kids were doing. Just ran out to go find Cobra Commander to make them pay. Right? And so he's willing to sacrifice his life in order for them to shoot Cobra Commander. That's
a goddamn man.
That's
they don't make men like that anymore. I think.
No, exactly.
the coldest streets of Philadelphia, that man does not exist anymore.
No, he's,
all right?
no doubt. You know, we should all be so lucky to live up to that. It's like, you got to hang now. Charles Fairmont sacrificed his life.
Are you crazy? Why did you let that maniac go?
Because our job
an
is
ordinary guy
saving
with no
lives,
special
not
skills
helping good
whatsoever.
men throw theirs away.
So where's the real life where it's like the military, like, you know, black bags this guy and, you know, like takes him off to Guantanamo so he doesn't tell anybody ever what he's seen. Like, you know, you've seen too much
he's definitely
here.
going to be sworn to secrecy. And probably like have flowers by Irene parked outside his house for the next 5 years.
Yes. You have Jack Nicholson staring him down like out of the window of a car every time he gets like, you know, leaves and goes to work. Like,
You know what? Even with this clip I'm about to play, like Charles Fairmont don't give a shit about that, man. Like he's gonna fuck everybody up, dude. Like this is the dude who, when he puts his mind to something, it gets done. Okay, like he's achieved more in 36 hours than like some people do their entire lives, and most GI Joes have with their entire training.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I do love this shot of the 84 Datsun parked outside the hospital. That's
So we get to the end of the episode, and finally Charles, who is for somehow, despite the fact that he is trespassed on federal grounds, assaulted an officer, kidnapped another officer, stolen a jet, committed treason, put military personnel in harm's way. There's probably more that I'm not even thinking of, not even knowing about. That's like 6 charges right there that he should spend in the brig, but he was able to visit his family and get them out of the hospital. And this is how that goes down here.
But honey, why'd you risk your life that way? None of us was badly hurt.
You might have been. I had to do something. Anyway, it's time to go home.
I hope all this has taught you something, Charlie.
From now on, let us handle Cobra?
Sure, for now. What's that supposed to mean?
glad to fuck shit up with you, Lady J.
So 2 things.
I got my spirit.
We just saw 2 different personalities of Charles Fairmont. We saw the concerned husband, where, like, again, he's been, I don't know how old the boy is. We'll just say he's 8, so we'll assume they've been married 9 years. But, like, he still has boyfriend voice. Is like, well, you know, baby, I couldn't let that anything happen to you. Like, I had to make sure you were okay, you know? And then when he's like, G.I. Joe, maybe you'll see me again. And like, I'll let you guys have a pass this time, but I'm gonna fuck things up next time. And Flint's like, what does that mean? Like, it means you put him on a list. You put him on a serious watch list right now. Like, this man is dangerous.
Exactly.
Charles Fairmont is a man that gets things done for better or for worse. And you should
be blowing up random islands for the next few years. Just like, you know, that'd be great if he would have come back as just this unhinged, like, you know, sort of like Two-Face character. Like, you ruined his life and now he's out for revenge. What happened? Oh, the house, when he wasn't in there and his family got out safely, was blown up. He's now dedicated his life to destroying G.I. Joe and Cobra.
So this is why I the final fragments of the scene there where he goes like, yeah, let's go home again.
But your home burned to the ground.
House is burnt to the ground. So this is why I think, like, yeah, maybe he might have had a second house, but like, no, house is still burnt to the ground. You're going,
but your home burned to the ground.
You're going to the Motel 6 or the Courtyard Marriott or wherever. There's no more home, Charles. Like,
but your home burned to the ground.
That's
I don't
just
know
been blown up.
That 85 Datsun and the suits he's rocking, I get the feeling like he's got enough to, like, you know, maybe spring for something better than the Courtyard by Marriott. I think he's, you know, he maybe do 4 seasons or something. You know, he's got a little bit of scratch there.
Wow.
He's got a little scratch, which again,
I guess he's going to find a house. I mean, I guess if this guy can choke out Cobra Commander in 36 hours, I guess he can find a house in a reasonable price range.
I think Charles Fairmont can do whatever the hell he wants. He's you know, he's that dude. Again, like all that set him off was like, somewhat of an inconvenience. It wasn't like, what do I put my pieces of my life together? Let me work with the insurance company. He's like, I am the insurance company. I'm going to pay myself out. And then I'm going to go open up a can of whoop ass on Cobra Commander.
There's normally a PSA at the end of these episodes. There was not one included with this, but what did we learn from this, Isaac?
Don't mess with Charles Fairmont. That and G.I. Joe really does not know how to train and or recruit their people. If some rando off the street can be like, let me show you how it's done. And at the end, is willing to sacrifice more than G.I. Joe. I don't get like conspiracy tinfoil hatted here, like some folks, but it's like, G.I. Joe needs Cobra. I always get the feeling like they let Cobra Commander go because like then the show's over. They're like, then what are we going to do? There goes our budget. There goes, I like just going around the world with secret weapons and blowing shit up.
He might be better at it than he is with computers. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine what he could do if he actually had proper military training.
There's got to be a backstory there. There's something there. I wonder, maybe in the comments, somebody's going to be like, actually, guys, if you check out, episode 47.
I hope so. I hope so, because I did a Google search, and this is the only episode with Charles Fairmont.
With Charles Fairmont, it's the only one. I mean, it's just one of those, like you said, it's just episodic. It's one of those, like, here you go, kids. Here's a normal guy pushed to his limits, kind of. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's like part Charles Bronson and part something else. Like this episode should be talked about more than it has been. Like I don't remember seeing this episode ever.
I know this is the first time.
Like G.I. Joe's on 5 days a week.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it caused me to flash back, and there are a lot of stuff, like a lot of memories. And again, the movie, like now, definitely like check out the movie again. I watched that thing.
The movie's fun.
A ton of times. The Rise of Serpentor, that whole thing. But I mean, like you said, the PSAs at the end are always fun. It was like, we were beating up some kid down by the river. It's like, hold off. That's not how you punch a person. You got to close your fist with your thumb on the outside. You'll break your wrist. Thanks. Shipwreck. Now we know. And knowing is half the battle. The fact you said there's no like the message, I don't know, like you said, what does it speak for itself? It's like, hey kids, with a little bit of gumption, you too can be badass like G.I. Joe. Look at this rando guy in the
focus and put your eyes on the prize. You can achieve anything. Okay?
Exactly. Look at Charles Fairmont.
Like this guy didn't even know he was gonna get into fisticuffs with Cobra Commander despite losing the fight, because he's not a soldier. He's not a killer.
Doesn't know how to punch people in the face. He broke both his hands, it seems like, doing just punching people out.
So yeah, man.
I gotta rewatch it. I love to, like, if you have me, I'd love to come back and like we could do like a full breakdown of the movie. That would be awesome if you said that's
the movie's a lot of fun still. Anyway, folks, I do some stuff around here. You're obviously listening to the Microdose, but we also do a show called The Waffle Box with friend of the family, Mike Fish. Waffle Box, the original Waffle Box, except no substitutes. It is the best part of Wednesdays. And, it's the holidays. I hope you guys are all being safe. I hope you guys are all being happy. I hope you're able to spend time with friends. I hope you're spending time with family. Check out previous episodes of the Microdose. Check out previous episodes of Kush and Kai and the Kush and Kai Microdose. But otherwise, for Ike Macks.
Thank you for having me. This was fun, man.
It was a good time. Thanks, bro. I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the Bosnet family.
It's almost like they know it's going to work out.